I think what we saw last night was two personalities exactly playing according to form. I see Barack Obama as kind of the thoughtful consensus builder. I see John McCain as the happy, straightforward warrior, and they both answered exactly according to casting, just the way they work. One of them tends to get right to the point. Barack is more nuanced. He's more, he thinks things through. You know, he's a constitutional attorney. And so it didn't surprise me at all. In fact, it was a good balance to show the difference.
I heard somebody on our air today actually say the following statement. It seemed to me, he said, that Senator McCain was doing an interview with Wolf Blitzer, whereas Senator Obama was doing an interview with Oprah Winfrey. So two different styles, and I think you picked up on that. Hey, let me ask you about this. Last night I heard you say that McCain would be in a cone of silence. And then half hour into the event, I hear our guys here in our political desk announce that McCain has just arrived at the worship center. And I'm thinking, you know, hey, if he just arrived at the worship center, he couldn't have been in the cone of silence, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. He was in a cone of a Secret Service motorcade. That's exactly for sure.
But you said, I'm going to quote you, I'm going to press you just a little bit on this, because I love this cone of silence thing, and I want to borrow it with my 4 kids at home, by the way. We flipped a coin, you said, and we have safely placed Senator McCain in a cone of silence. That's what you said. Did you think at the time that when you said that, did you think he was in the cone of, did you think he was in the building?
Actually, yes, I did. There was actually a question I got to Senator Obama in advance that I didn't get to Senator McCain because he wasn't there. I actually wrote down on a piece of paper the very first question because I wanted them both to be relaxed. And I said, here's the very first question. I gave it to both of them to ask that. But I also told Senator Obama, since there was one question where I was going to ask for a commitment, it was the commitment later about would you allow a PEPFAR-type President's Emergency Plan for orphans? And I thought if I was going to ask him for a public commitment, I ought to let him know in advance. I got to tell Barack Obama that in advance. I did not get to tell John McCain that in advance. So
well, you obviously
by surprise, I'm sure.
I mean, just out of fairness. I mean, look, this is CNN. We try to be as exact as we possibly can. I just wanted to get it on the record. And of course, there's going to be people out there, Pastor, who are going to say, well, if he wasn't there like a half hour before the event started, what would have stopped him from watching an event that was on all 3 channels, on the radio, there's Blackberries, there's the internet, there's everything else. So I guess you don't know and I don't know whether he had the questions or not.
You know what? In first place, we asked him. We flat out asked him. Did you hear any of the debate? I mean, any of the discussion? And I trust the integrity of both John McCain and Barack Obama that they said they would abide by the rules. They knew the rules way in advance, that I would not give them the questions. I did tell them all of the themes and went through all of the themes, said here's the kind of question, the themes that I'm going to deal with. I'm going to probably throw out a question about economy, going to probably throw out a question about climate change, which, by the way, I never got to, and a number of other issues. But I would not give them the wording of what specifically, like, for instance, it's one thing to say, I may ask you a question about the courts. It's another question to say, which of the existing Supreme Court would you not appoint?
Well, yeah, and let's be fair. We called Senator McCain's office, and they said that, no, we did not listen, we did not know. So what you're saying is part of that we're just going to have to go on the honor system, and we certainly respect that. Let's switch a little bit on the topics here. Going back to Barack Obama, did you expect him to say that he's against abortion personally, and were you surprised that he didn't say that?
Well, again, I know both of these guys
pretty
well.
I'm asking you this question as a pastor.
I wasn't surprised by either of their answers. I figured that's what they were going to say.
Well, here, let me try another one with you then. Because, you know, I'm looking at this now as somebody who was really enjoying the event, sitting in front of my television watching this. There was one...
You know, the one thing I regret, Rick, is that I can't tell you how many times I wanted to ask a follow-up. Because I could have gone for 30 minutes on everyone. I know the pain of a journalist now because they would say something and I go, yeah, but what about... Yeah, but... And I wanted everything, every bone in my body wanted to ask, yeah, but... But I decided to go for breadth rather than depth because I knew I wouldn't get a lot of questions asked if I did follow-ups.
You know what you're doing now? You're feeling my pain. There's this producer who talks into this little thing right here,
Well,
who's constantly
telling
hurry up and don't go. Let me ask you this one. There was another point that I think, I'm trying to pick up on things that I think will get more shelf life in the news. I think maybe that Barack Obama response on abortion may or may not get some shelf life. McCain had a response to you when you asked him what constituted a rich person, and he kind of threw out the term $5 million in income. And I was thinking to myself, there are people all over America right now going, $5 million? Do you think the average American, how close do you think he was, his figure, to what the average American thinks is a rich person?
Yeah, well, he instantly knew that. That was one of those ones where the staff kind of grimaces and goes, oh, I honestly believe, and I've said this before, that everybody in public life, Democrat and Republican, should get a 5% grace factor because everybody says stuff you say that's stupid, you don't believe, and later you go, well, I wish I hadn't said that. I've done it. I'm going to say it on this. I'll say stuff on this interview with you that I go, well, I didn't believe that at all. So we just have to not play gotcha on stuff like that and go, okay, he didn't mean that. That kind of thing.
Oh, by the way, for the record, I've never made a mistake. Just ask my wife and kids.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. Rick Warren, you're a good man. I appreciate you taking time and taking us through this. Congratulations. You held an event. You had people there, and you had all the networks on you as well. Job well done, sir. We appreciate your time.
The Steelers really made a huge impression on me.
McCain says the Steelers were also on his mind during the 6 years that he was held as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam.
When I was first interrogated and really had to give some information because of the pressures, the physical pressures that were on me, I named the starting lineup, the defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers, as my squadron mates.
McCain was a POW from 1967 through 1973, 2 years before the Steelers won their first Super Bowl.
Yesterday, Senator John McCain said he loves the Steelers and that the team was on his mind during the 6 years he was held prisoner in North Vietnam.
I named the starting lineup, the defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers, as my squadron mates.
Turns out there's a small problem with that statement. In the senator's autobiography, written back in 1999, he said he gave the names of the Green Bay Packers offensive line. When asked about yesterday's statement, McCain's campaign said it was an honest mistake.
John McCain raised eyebrows this week when Blender magazine published his 10 favorite songs. Topping McCain's list, check it out. That's right, ABBA's Dancing Queen, surely one of the lamest pop songs in history. Yesterday, John McCain defended the band and had a message for critics. Watch.
A lot of my taste in music stopped about the time I impacted a surface-to-air missile with my own airplane and never caught up again.
But regarding McCain's musical awareness timeline, he was in Vietnam from 67 to 73. Dancing Queen didn't get produced until 1975.
This report from CQPolitics.com, wherein a Wikipedia editor pointing out at least 3 passages from McCain's speech today that it says most people would consider to have been derived directly from Wikipedia.
Senator McCain seemed to be one of the people that was an obstructionist, who was not interested in the truth coming out. Who tried to attack people rather than learn what they had to say.
No instance would he ever give in and say there were POWs left behind. And my first question is, how would he know or not know? So just that which is reasonable he never exhibited, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a guilt complex. Maybe he promised the Vietnamese something. Okay, and I don't know what it is. And maybe he actually believes that. That would be the saddest of all.
I mean, he was yelling and screaming at me and had me in tears. I mean,
Oh, to everybody. To me, he was very rude to me on several occasions.
He probably did more harm to the idea of trying to get the truth out than any other single person through the efforts he did to block the release of classified intelligence dealing with the POW-MIA problem.
McCain stepped in and, in effect, made it harder to get documentation. That certainly hurt us because we had hoped for a massive release of documentation.
Many, many documents were held back for no reason, and our goal on the committee was to just dump this stuff, to declassify it, literally, to the public. But of course, they withheld information from the committee. The U.S. government held all kinds of information from the committee, withheld information from the committee. I know that for a fact.
Even POWs we knew who wanted to see their own debriefings were not permitted because of the McCain regulation.
But where did McCain get compliments for doing this? The bureaucrats at the Pentagon, because it put a workload on them. It put a workload on them for missing in action people.